If you're an INFP, I want to politely beg you to stop hating your personality type. I know it is a common thing for INFPs to figure out what their personality type is and then immediately hate it or hate themselves before even learning about their personality type. And I'm tired of it and I want you to stop. So I'm going to give you some different perspectives and insights into your personality type so that you can feel better about who you are in the world, how you show up, your strengths, and even feel better about some of your weaknesses too. Hey, I'm Matt Sherman. Welcome to Geek Psychology. I'm an INFP. I'm a coach and hypnotist, and I work mainly with INFPs. I've coached over 100 INFPs one-on-one, and so I've learned some things about INFP as well as myself being one. I have my own internal perspective and awareness of what is going on. So let's unpack some of these different perspectives that will help you stop fighting yourself. The first one is we often believe that there's something fundamentally wrong with us, that we are broken because we are who we are. And then we read these descriptions online of INFPs, and oftentimes it doesn't feel great. It's this squishy, lost soul who can never assert themselves, who needs to be protected from the world and censored from all of these things that are, bad out there, and we're fragile. And that is not true. Now, when I was younger, I definitely was way more emotionally volatile than I am now. But it's something that we learn to grow into, this discovery of who we are as people and our identity and what is important to us. And we learn to use and wield emotions as a strength later on in life. But in those times that you feel or say, I am broken, I am wrong, I invite you to narrow down on what exactly wrong is. Not that you are looking for what is wrong, but you want to define what wrong is, what broken is, what too much is. What specifically is broken? Is it your sensitivity? Is it your slowness? Is it your depth? And compared to whom? And in what environment? And then is it actually wrong, or is it just not a good fit for the environment or for the system? So if you believe that this is the problem, like, it really helps to unpack it. I imagine like an orange. I don't know, I was peeling an orange right then. And then you have all these different wedges. Okay, and this is the definition. I don't know if this metaphor is working out well. This is like the little definition of this part and this part and this part. And you can then actually look at it and you can decide what you want to take in and what you want to discard. I came back. And also, every time that you say you hate being an INFP, there's a sequence happening in your head. There's a pattern for how you create this emotion and this feeling. And likely it is a reaction to an image that you see in your head, or a video that you've created in your head, or a soundtrack that you're playing, or the title, the subtitles maybe, the label that you've attached to that video or that image in your mind. So maybe you see somebody else, or you compare yourself first to someone who is maybe faster or louder or more charismatic in this explosive, extroverted way. And then you replay some moment from your past where you were awkward, where you slipped and fell or something like that, where you asked a question that was just odd. And then you judge yourself on that. And then you feel defective, or you feel strange or broken. And it's not the truth of what is happening. That is a method of comparison. That's a pattern that you've created in order to get the result of, I don't like my personality type. And if that is the case, then it means that you can take different actions by changing how you think and how you perceive things. When that video comes up in your mind of you doing that strange thing in math class, then redirect the video. Imagine and pretend it's out there and re-script it like you are a director. Okay, give yourself advice. No, do it this way. Sit straight. Say this thing. Don't say this thing. Redirect the movie in your head, and your brain will have a different pathway for it to go. And you do that with enough vividness and clarity and attention, and you will be able to feel differently about that situation, which is one of the nodes within that pattern. There's another issue that often comes up is that what we think of as flaws or problems are actually really powerful strengths that we just haven't been taught how to use. So you might say, again, you are too sensitive. Well, actually, I remember on my wedding, I had a bunch of friends and family from all across the world come, friends from different decades before. And one of my friends, he was an ESTP, he is an ESTP, he said that I cried too much at my wedding. And I personally did not feel any sort of way about that. I felt I was so happy to have people from around the world, my family from the United States and my wife's family from Japan and all these other people and friends there, that I was in the right place. And for me, that was where I should be. And so there's a emotional perceptiveness or an emotional awareness or an emotional abundance that comes with being an INFP. And yes, I understand when you're younger or if you haven't learned how to, again, wield these emotional skills, it becomes quite difficult, right? You can feel overwhelmed about whatever the situation is, but you can also learn to use emotional aikido or emotional calisthenics and train yourself to go into very happy emotion and very sad emotions, which I'm sure you are skilled at, and then bring yourself back out. It's a skill set, learning to adjust. Also, if you've been called slow before, I remember when I was working at Subway when I was 16 in high school, my boss did not like me. He said I was slow, right? And maybe it was, yes, I was slow. I'm not going to deny that. I was slow. And I've been called slow for a lot of my life. I was called Eeyore in my class. But at some point, there was a switch where I became more passionate about my hobbies and my dreams, and I leaned more into extroverted intuition and the things that excited me, and I became more of myself. And actually, I kind of sped up in a lot of ways. But if it's about decision making or something like that, like that's fine. You are value calibrating. You are making sure that your actions are reflective in a way that you want to be of your personality type. That is a good thing. You do not want to live a life where you are doing things that are completely against your personality type. I know that. And not just your personality type, but you as a person. Or maybe you call yourself or have been called an overthinker or a procrastinator. These are all just labels for different actions that you are taking. And if you reframe those, okay, I'm not overthinking, I'm just looking for all the different possibilities. My extroverted intuition is so cool. It can come up with so many different possibilities and options for any single thing that you bring me. So of course I'm going to overthink in that sense. I'm going to think a lot about different ideas and possibilities. And procrastinating, maybe you are just not fully aligned with your tasks in your life. And if you figure out what those tasks are, when you figure out what those tasks are, and those things that really light you up, that spark you, then you will not procrastinate. You will have an endless fuel for, your quest. So the behavior or the trait isn't broken, it's the interpretation that is the problem. Next, what if the issue isn't actually your personality type, but it's the game that you're trying to play? So if you are trying to win in a hustle culture, you want to be a gym bro or something like that, you want to wake up at 5 in the morning and just work all day, well, that is not necessarily aligned with your personality type. There are ways to align it if that's what you want to do, but it's not a natural starting zone for INFPs. There are plenty of ways to motivate yourself through positive and negative emotions and tying things to your values and creativity. But just showing up like that day in and day out, waking up at 5 a.m., going to work and cold calling in a cubicle all day to make some money, is probably not tied to your actual goals in life. And if you are trying to win at that game because you think you should win at that game, or other people have told you you should do this, then there's a misalignment with your actual personality type. Are you trying to be hyper efficient? Efficiency is not really connected to extroverted intuition or introverted feeling. Extroverted intuition, again, is about pattern recognition. This is your auxiliary function. If you don't know, I know I'm going kind of deep in this video. But it is a brain state where your brain is constantly pinging all of these different regions like a Christmas tree. And it uses a lot of fuel. It uses a lot of energy to do that. This is why NPs can get creativity hangovers by just their brain heating up so much from all of this action. And that is not an efficient thing. There's no closing the loop in that. It's more possibilities, more options. But through that, this is how you innovate in life. This is how human society innovates, right? It's through taking different ideas, through thinking differently about things. Okay? If you want to be hyper efficient, then that is a skill that you can train on. Different frameworks, Pareto principle, and things like that for you to make different judgments. But that is not your starting state, and that's okay. Are you trying to not have any emotions and be completely stoic and cold all the time? Well, I tried that too. And I did it for a while. And also I felt horrible for a long while. Once I opened up and allowed myself to be more vulnerable, more emotional, more aware of my emotions and the emotions of other people, I felt a lot better in life. So you might be optimizing for the wrong play style. I bet that you remember every time that being sensitive hurt you, but you forget all the times where it actually helped. Maybe you are not focusing on the times that your empathy and your caring, your emotions deepened a relationship with somebody else or supported somebody who was going through a really hard time. Maybe your imagination has not always led you to overthinking or procrastination or not being able to follow through with everything, but actually it's created something meaningful for yourself or your partner or your family or the world. When has reflection and a longer timeline of thinking through and feeling through a decision actually prevented a bad decision for you? It's happened plenty of times in my life where all of my friends, my ENFP, ESFP, ESTJ friends were all going out and doing something, and I did not want to do that. And I decided not to, and they couldn't understand why not. But it felt right to me. It resonated with who I am and who I wanted to be. And I've also made mistakes where I acted too hastily, and I have learned lessons that I didn't want to learn. So take some time to reframe and think about how these weaknesses or struggles have actually helped you in your life. Another important thing to remember is that you didn't start criticizing yourself because you are broken. You actually started criticizing yourself as a way to survive. It's a protection mechanism. It is somehow this part of you came online, maybe when you were from 1 to 7 years old or something like that. Something happened and a part of you came out and said, we can't allow that to happen again. We need to stop that behavior from happening. So the method that it came up with is to possibly self-criticize or to be harsher on yourself or to stop you from doing certain things, to stop you from playing all the sports that you used to play. This is for me. I was in a bunch of different sports actually for some reason. I think it's because my dad. But I was not good, but I was in a lot of different sports and activities and clubs and things like that when I was in elementary school. And I was in basketball class and I shot a ball and I missed it. Oh no, I missed in practice. Ooh. And somebody yelled at me. Somebody yelled at me and said that, I suck and I'm horrible and blah, blah, blah. And at that moment I said, okay, I quit. And I quit all of the sports. I quit Boy Scouts, all the club activities and everything like that. My life completely changed because of that. That was a protection mechanism. Something came up and said, if you are going to be criticized for showing yourself, then you should not do it. And so I stopped. And I became way more introverted and shy, uncomfortable around other people because I didn't build up the social skills because I stopped talking to people. Now, things have changed. I made intentional decisions after that, but that was definitely a big pivot in my life. So self-criticism or whatever these actions are, there's a secondary benefit, a secondary gain that is happening from that action. Okay, so taking some time to thank that part. I know it might seem strange, but thank that part for trying to protect you all these years, and then re-educate them and say, actually, this is not the way that we need to go anymore. I'm okay. I'm older now. I'm wiser now. I have more experiences. I'll be okay. So we don't need to do this. Re-educate that part of yourself and life will get better. And also, if you keep fighting your wiring and your personality type, you are going to drain yourself. You're going to burn out. This is exhaustion and it is not good. So whenever I have a client that comes to me and they're feeling depressed or they have no energy for things, we always look at their personality type and their cognitive functions, or these different characters within their psyche, and say which ones have the most spotlight time. Are you ignoring your introverted feeling, which is your dominant function? It's core to your personality type. It's about your values and conscience and your personal felt emotions and your identity. If you're ignoring that part of yourself and there's no self-expression, especially through extroverted intuition, which is ideas and pattern recognition and changing things up, creativity in that sense, then you're gonna feel bad. You that's intrinsically tied to your personality type and who you are. So if you don't do that stuff, well, yeah, you're not gonna feel this zest for life. If you're trying to force productivity systems that don't fit you, well, you're focusing likely on extroverted thinking stuff that works for extroverted thinkers, right? And we can bring that in, but there are some things that we need to consider when we do that. Break it down to even smaller, simpler steps. Have just a couple things on your checklist. Really reward yourself for accomplishing things and doing things that are moving the XP needle in your life forward. And motivate yourself through positive and negative emotions. What are the things that you really, really want in your life? And then what are those things that you never want to have happen in your life? Use that to motivate you away from living a horrible life and towards living a positive life. And with fighting your wiring, if you're trying to be super extroverted, quote unquote, and doing things that feel unnatural to you, then know that it's probably tapping into something that is pushing against your personality type or some sort of value assessment. And you can grow it as a skill, and there are benefits for all of the cognitive functions. There are benefits from improving all of the different cognitive functions. But you don't have to. You don't have to do that. If you really don't like it, then don't. Find another way to accomplish the goal. And really ask yourself, if you spent the next 5 years, 10 years trying to be somebody else, who would you be when you look back? And would you be happy? If you got that awesome 9-to-5 job that pays a lot of money, that drains your soul, and you do it for 5 years, 10 years, and you look back on your life, are you happy with it? It can be hard to make that assessment, but it is really important. Do you feel stronger? Do you feel weaker? Do you feel smaller? Do you feel bigger? Do you feel more proactive in your life or not? Or would you feel like many ETJs feel, where they get to the end of this career or something like that, and then they actually have a moment to do introverted feeling stuff, and they're like, what? Why did I do this? Is this really who I am as a person? Who am I? And then they start to discover who they are as a person. Whereas we as INFPs, we try to do it the other way. And there are a lot of benefits with that too, but there are a lot of struggles that come about too. Right? If you're always trying to align everything to your personality type and your identity and your life, but you're not creating the structure to house that, then it becomes quite difficult. And if you want that in your life, that's fine. You just know that it takes some more effort to understand how to stop leaking. Like, I imagine there's a fuel tank, okay? And extroverted thinking is just kind of like, there's just a leak there all the time. And we can cover it up. But it does take work. It takes a lot of effort and focus on that. And while we are focusing on that, it means we're not focusing on something else. This whole game of self-development and personality type is about awareness, and what you're focusing on means that you're not developing skills in another area. There's a cost of specialization that comes about. And we have specialized in feeling, in what it means to be a human, in wanting to understand intention and motivation and values and emotions and creativity as well. And because of that focus, yes, of course, we haven't spent as much time developing structure and focusing on timelines and resource management and constructive habits and stability and consistency, because that's not the character class that we're playing. We're playing what I call the innovating soul. This is this combination of extroverted intuition, the innovating explorer, and introverted feeling, the resonating soul. You put those together, innovating soul. I feel that that is a positive, supportive identity label for INFPs. So take it and use it if you like it. If you don't like the identity statements, then don't use them. Use a different one. When I made the switch from, in my mind, seeing myself as a rogue, this cold, cool, dark, emotionless type character, into a healer, and I was able to help people, support people, more vulnerable, more open, more spiritual in some ways, my life changed because I felt like I was always playing the wrong class. And by aligning my beliefs and my skills and my actions and my identity to this other identity label as a healer, my life changed. So it's a matter of understanding how you are built and reframing that, thinking differently about it, so that you can take actions that are more in alignment with the things that you want in life. You know, you're built for depth, not efficiency and effectiveness and domination. You are seeking meaning, not metrics. You want to make decisions that resonate with you, not fast, like quick action, quick execution decisions. Now, you can do that stuff, but that is just not necessarily your dominant skill set. Right? There are always ways to put more points in different talent trees by developing those skills. But you can't hate yourself for having a main core spec. And so the solution isn't in becoming someone else, or, you know, becoming an ESTP or ESTJ or something like that. The solution is learning what works for you and your personality type and applying it to your life. And I'm going to leave you with one last one. It's a bit of a difficult one, which is why I left it for last. Has hating your personality type actually benefited you in your life? This is called an ecology check. Has it actually done anything to support you, to help you? What has it actually improved in your life? Do you feel better about life by hating your personality type? Do you have a better relationship? Do you have a better career? Probably not. If you do, then please let me know how it worked, because I don't understand how that could work. Or does it shrink you? Does it make you feel smaller or weaker, less courageous, less creative? Just imagine how your life would improve if you woke up saying, I love being an INFP. I love myself. I love my personality type. I love who I am. I love my creative projects. Your life will be completely different. One of my clients told me that, after a couple sessions, I'm not going to get into it too much, but he looked in the mirror and for the first time, he smiled and said, I love myself. That is such a powerful moment. And just imagine how one moment like that in your life could ripple out and affect your relationships, your career, your day-to-day joy, your energy levels, your creative projects. It would have an endless impact. So I'm politely begging you, again, stop hating your personality type.